Yay! Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Worldhoppers. Today, we are going to be chatting about best and worst fantasy romance and romance books of 2022. We should have another member joining us here in a little bit. They'll be joining us later. So we're just going to jump right into it. Or let's start with the salt. I feel like let's start with the saltiness. Your absolute least favorite. So Bethany's going to start off because Bethany reads the most out of this group, and she has like numerous different subgenres. Do you have a least favorite for each of those subgenres?
You know what? I don't have
No.
like I didn't really have a terrible historical romance. I had some like mid ones, but I didn't have anything terrible. But I do have I could give you like least favorite speculative romance and least favorite contemporary romance that I could definitely
Yeah, let's hear it.
do. Okay. All right. My worst of the year is definitely a speculative one. And I knew it would be questionable, but I read it for a podcast episode / video. And that was the first Zodiac Academy book.
Oh, I kind of want to pick that up too. Leanna's face.
It's so bad. I don't understand.
Yeah.
I mean, I think for some people it's like a popcorn read, but it's like so poorly written. The characters I don't get the whole bully romance thing. That's a thing. I'm like, Wait, you're telling me that you can't help being attracted to somebody who's being cruel to you? Multiple people? I don't get it. But also the world building is sort of like, let's think of anything remotely fantasy or sci-fi-ish and just throw it all in, whether or not it makes sense, and that's going to be our world building. It's just everything about it. The dialogue is cringy. It was so bad.
It's very popular.
It is. I don't
I see it
understand.
everywhere now.
It's older
And then
too, right?
It's not that old. They just wrote them all back to back. There's like 8 books in the series.
Oh wait, I was thinking of Vampire Academy.
Oh,
they're
yeah,
all
no.
academies, and I haven't read any of them. They're all the same thing to me.
This is one that is like got big on TikTok. It's a more recent one.
On that note, though, just to clarify, we are talking about ones that we read around or in 2022. For some of us, our memories are foggy about when we read them, and by that I mean mine. But yeah, I've heard a lot, and I do like some of the fan art that I've seen of it, but I've heard.
Listen, it makes for entertaining vlog material.
And the editions were pretty. I feel like Bookish Box, somebody did like special editions of it, and they looked nice.
Yeah, I mean, but
that's how they get you with those special editions.
But then people are coming in my comments and being like, "No, it gets really good in like book 4." I'm like, "Are you kidding me?" I'm gonna
just like Malazan. They're the same, right? Malazan and Zodiac Academy.
And Zodiac Academy. Yeah, I guess this is the Malazan
and Wheel of Time.
Indie romance world.
Isn't Dresden that way too? People say that about Dresden.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah.
What is it about book 4? That's like you have to write 3 books to like get all your crap out, and then book 4 is when you've like, okay, I'm here as an author, I'm ready to go.
I had somebody else tell me, they told me the book 4 thing too. Don't believe them. It's not true. It doesn't get better.
What was your other worst of within? You said there wasn't really a historical one.
No, but oh man, I would say probably my least favorite contemporary was Love on the Brain by Ali Hazelwood.
Okay, I read that one too.
I didn't like it very much. I feel like she's kind of one note. She does the same thing in all her books, and
Did
the
she
more
write
of them I read,
super popular last year.
She wrote Love on the Brain. Or
Love
Hypothesis.
And is that the one that Jess really hated?
Yes.
Jess hated.
I know things.
Mara likes her books a lot.
Yeah,
I like Love Hypothesis. Okay.
There's a part where I guess
was Love Hypothesis the one that people said was like Raylo fan fiction?
Yes. Yeah.
I know.
There's a part though in relation to size where the girl is like, I don't know how I could possibly ever take this on, and then she thinks to herself like, but we do have babies, so I guess there's room. And that's the part where Jess was like, no, and she was really upset by that. I recall her.
This is the one. Yeah. This is the one where I sent like the picture in the chat, right, with the hamster and a banana.
Was it that? I mean, I remember that GIF. Yes, it's disturbing. But yeah, you got to send it to Leanna because that face is telling me she needs to see it.
I'm trying to imagine what a hamster and banana have to do with what we just said or with that book.
Because he's so big and she doesn't know if it would fit.
Oh, that's what I
know.
I prefer hamster on a piano.
It's hamster eating banana, it's not that bad.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my gosh.
I actually think it looked much worse than I was expecting. I'm not gonna lie. Like, because hamsters are so cute. I just don't even. I feel bad for the little hamster.
Tiny turtles eating things is very cute. Like a little turtle eating a raspberry. The raspberry is like the size of the turtle, so it's like taking tiny little bites of this one.
Those are cute. But now, because you said turtle in this context, it's just making me think about the noises they make. Have you heard them?
No, the baby ones never make those noises ever.
It's really weird, the noises they make. I can't be the only one, right, that knows what
I've seen them on like Tosh.0 back in the day.
It sounds like they're dying, honestly.
They sound like they're wheezing. Bethany.
Oh.
Bethany, have you never seen turtles doing the nasty?
No.
Well, you're missing out.
Clearly, it sounds like I'm missing out on a lot.
It'll ruin Ninja Turtles for you.
It's okay. I feel much better knowing.
Oh, wow.
I assumed that this was just like a rite of teenage passage where everyone at some point has been shown a video.
No, that's new.
Yeah, I don't know where I saw it. This isn't like a. Never mind. I'm not gonna say what I was about. What I was about to say was really dark, so I'm not gonna say it. It's nothing. Yeah, I'm just gonna stop. We'll just. Okay.
So
I won't give
contemporary.
Yeah, I just want to say I won't. I won't give specifics. All I was gonna say is, you know how people will ask you like, "Where were you when this traumatic thing happened?" This like national tragedy. When people ask that question, you kind of like everybody remembers exactly where they were. I was gonna say it's like that. But with like the turtles, like everybody remembers.
Where were you when you learned what turtles?
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, no.
Anyway, yes, thank you, Roger, for trying to get us back on track. So,
right.
Well, I got us off track, so I felt like it was my duty to get us back on track.
Well, I'm going to take us back off track for a second because that red bird next to Bethany, I keep thinking is the Little Mermaid, which made me think of the noises that Scuttle makes when he's trying to serenade them, and it's not dissimilar from the noises that turtles make. So if you've seen The Little Mermaid and you remember Scuttle singing,
I don't, but okay.
Prince Eric is like, someone should put him out of his misery.
Target has been making these little birds that are like $5,
so
and I'm kind of obsessed. They're like,
yeah, we have them for Christmas. Not those exact ones, but that style. They're very adorable. And Luna tries to get them, and you're like, they're not toys for you. Anyway,
the corner of my eye, the shape of the red looks like the shape of her hair.
I see it.
Okay, I see that. Yeah.
Did you have a fantasy worst of, Bethany? Fantasy romance?
That was Zodiac Academy.
Oh, okay. You were just calling it speculative.
Yeah, it is fantasy. Yes, yeah. I guess I say I put like fantasy, sci-fi, paranormal kind of all in that bucket. But yeah, it is a fantasy sort of.
Okay, cool.
With terrible world building.
Leanna, what about for you?
Well, of the two that I read, I probably the worst was Morning Glory Milking Farm, which we read for book club. And I think Mara chose specifically to watch me squirm. And there was also a lot of discussion of size and compatibility. Probably not enough conversation about that, frankly, because like this is like concerning. I feel like it would be a health issue. But
there was a lot of fluid in that book.
But yeah, honestly, I mean, the fluid was to be expected, and it was so clinical that I didn't even care about the fluid. It was just like, yeah, okay, we're milking them, great. They're all in scrubs, and there's like a machine, and it goes in bottles, and it's like, all right.
I don't know what this is. So.
It's like minotaurs that like donate their sperm to a sperm bank, and so then that's the milking farm, and so then she works there as like a technician or whatever to like extract. And so she falls in love with one of one of the donors.
One of the minotaurs, yeah.
And that's the entire book.
Yep.
Sounds like a true love story.
Yeah. So, yeah.
I'm surprised that you haven't heard about it. It took over for a while. It was
I
very
I
heard
honestly
the
wouldn't have heard of
name.
it if it wasn't for Mara
Okay.
picking it.
I heard the name. I think I've just never followed up on. I never heard that name. I was like, let's look into this book. That sounds
Yeah.
like something. Yay!
Yep.
Ashley is almost here.
Yay.
On my end, it's showing. Roger, do you want to say yours really quick?
I mean, mine is also because of Mara. So, lesson
Only she's
learned.
here.
I asked her, I was like, hey, Mara, I'm interested in maybe trying like sci-fi romance or something. What do you recommend? She's like, Ice Planet freaking Barbarian.
See, I would have chosen that for my worst if I hadn't read Morning Glory Milking Farm, which was worse than that.
So then that one, I was reading it and like messaging her, and I was like, you didn't warn me that there's pretty graphic non-consent on page in chapter 1 and 2. And I was just like, what am I reading? And then I had it on audiobook because I tend to do audiobooks while I'm working. So here I am in lab pipetting, and that is what I was listening to. And it was a time. Romance is kind of a stretch. I don't know that I would call it romantic, but it was a thing that I read, unfortunately, that will now forever be in my brain with their disgusting vibrating chest worms.
It was funny because when Roger came to Arizona, anytime I would see it at the bookstore, I'd be like, Roger, look, I found something you're probably wanting. And I would just like, look at it.
Those covers are such a lie because the covers, like the new covers, are kind of cute. That is not what these books are. They are definitely the original cover with like the trashy, like kind of CG looking thing with like the naked woman's back.
Weren't you also shocked that like you like go into this knowing it's going to be like kind of trashy, kind of whatever, like it's gonna have a lot of smut, like that's what people are reading it for, that's what this is gonna be. And then the beginning of the book is so legitimately dark, like when they're still on the spaceship, and I was like, this is horror, like this is not like where's the fun sexy times with the aliens?
I will say this, the new edition of the book cuts that scene.
No, I read the new edition, and it's still quite dark. Like, I know that you told me that the specific
I didn't read the new edition.
The actual assault gets cut, but it's still, like, you know that that's implied. So, like, it's still extremely dark.
Yeah, I mean...
Yeah, but not take it to the part where they actually talk about her crying during it
like,
happening.
And crapping in buckets, and, like, all in a pen, and they've all been kidnapped, and then they crash land and all have broken arms and legs. I mean, like, that's not happy times.
You're
and then she falls asleep by fire and wakes up to a man.
You're not supposed to take it that seriously.
But that's the opening of the book. Like, we're setting the tone. Like,
so in Zodiac Academy,
I read chapter 1 and I was like, Mara. I was like, what did you get me to read? What is
this? Like a prisoner of war camp. Where is the fun alien sex?
I don't know. I feel like this is the thing. I mean, like in Zodiac Academy, right? It's supposed to be like fun, romantic. Their parents are dead. They are aging out of the foster care system. And then they find out that they're secretly the children of like a Fae king and queen who also are dead in the Fae world. And now they have to go to this magic school, except everybody there is awful to them and like literally super cruel. Hey, Ashley.
Hey.
I don't know how much you ended up hearing, but you've missed some fun stuff.
We're talking about our worst of the year.
Yes, we started with that. So since you're here, your absolute least favorite, you can do both if you have both, romance and or fantasy romance. And it's just something you read in 2022. It doesn't have to be new from that year. And if you know what, if there's another one that you hate to just like set the bar for people, you can just let us know ones that you really don't like. It doesn't have to just be last year.
Goodness gracious. I read a good bit of romance. I'm going through my list right now and I'm thinking like, what was absolute trash?
They were all so good that you can't think of a single one.
So
oh no.
Just to recap, Leanna, go ahead and Leanna and Roger can say theirs.
Morning Glory Milking Farm.
I've heard such great things.
And then mine was Ice Planet Barbarians.
What?
Is that your best?
Absolutely not, but I did enjoy it.
Well, that's where you
Bethany-
came in. We were just complaining about Ice Planet Barbarians when you
I'm
came
glad
I
in.
mean,
missed it.
I've also read Ice Planet Barbarians and Morning Glory Milking Farm, and like they were okay. I didn't love them, but like whatever. Zodiac Academy is my worst by far.
Yeah.
It was terrible.
Oh, I read Zodiac Academy last year too.
Wait, what were your thoughts on it?
I was questioning a lot about the reading community when I read that. I mean,
Right?
I do. I mean, I feel like I understand the appeal. No, I don't. Stop lying. I don't. I don't see the appeal of it. So it was just so off. Like they would just treat it so badly through how many pages was that book, Bethany? Like 400 plus pages?
I don't know. I kept going.
At
It
least
just-
Morning Glory Milking Farm was like 100 pages.
Yeah.
It was just women being treated poorly is like a whole era for people. I love when women are treated poorly in these bully romances, and it's I don't know. I
don't get it. Like I don't
get it
understand-
either.
And what I don't get too is like the way somebody can do something truly like horrible to them, and like they're so awful and they're crying, and then they're like, but when they're close to me, I just get shivers and I'm so attracted to them. And I'm like, what?
I'm looking at my Goodreads review, and it's like if someone treats you like garbage, then your best bet is to probably not trust them going forward. Like,
So these are probably the same people
Fair.
that keep Alina with the Darkling when they read the
Oh my
Yeah.
gosh. that-
Witcher trilogy.
I
You know,
mean,
because
but
he puts
listen,
a collar on her and emotionally like tortures
Yeah,
her. So
listen,
that's
the
one we
Darkling,
want.
the Darkling has nothing on the love interest in Zodiac Academy.
And he's also
Really?
written as the villain, like actually
Yeah.
the villain.
Yeah.
yeah,
I just feel like Roger, you need to let them know your thoughts on alpha males.
Well, I mean, not even, alpha males aside.
Is it
my
last
question for
time
all
you,
these-
you told Shauna and I that nothing makes
Oh, I'll
you
get there. I'll get there. No, but my
Okay.
first question is for all these people who love Ice Planet Barbarian. And like we're talking about how people being terrible to other people. Literally, she meets her love interest because he goes down on her while she's asleep by a campfire. And she
Yes!
wakes up to that.
I know.
And that's
I know,
romance?
When I read that, I was like, he met her and is like sniffing her crotch instantly. Like
I know.
he doesn't even know her.
Like a
name.
dog?
I know.
She's
Yeah,
like
a dog
why?
is trying to get to
but
know you.
also like it's a
Why?
I can kind of go with it because it's like a cultural difference.
That's
but,
how
like,
I tried to.
You know,
Can't I say that about this Magic Academy then? Isn't that a cultural difference for them to be terrible human beings?
But
No.
also, like Ice Planet Barbarians is all
No.
supposed to be just like a fantasy because like nothing about it is like realistically another alien species and culture. Like they're anatomically designed to be ideal for like her pleasure. So I'm
Yeah.
like, what part of is it being ideal for her pleasure that you wake up to a man sniffing your crotch? Like that is not what my
That's
idea.
not
I mean,
how
it wasn't
you
just
like-
sniffing.
It's
You
probably
have the
some
edited
other
version.
thing.
If they made it
I'm
just sniffing in
saying
the edited
sniffing
version,
for like
it was not.
the
It was not
internet.
sniffing in the version that I
Oh,
read.
was it?
There was
it
weird
just
things
sniff-
with the tongue.
Oh, was it just sniffing
No.
in your version,
No.
Leanna?
I'm saying sniffing
Okay.
through the internet.
Oh, okay.
Oh.
Gotcha.
Okay, I was like, wait,
everyone. I was
edited
exposed to the
so
whole thing.
much.
Ashley.
I mean, I gave Zodiac Academy 2.5 stars because the drama is what I think people love drama. I think it's human nature to enjoy seeing other people go through dramatic things. So
Mhm.
that I try to be understanding, and I'm very curious. I would be a liar if I didn't say that I was interested in reading the second book. Not for just pure scientific research purposes. That's all. That's all. It just, I mean, you're talking to someone who read the entire After series.
Yeah. I mean,
Aren't
this is
those
the
really
thing. Like,
long
I
as
feel
well?
like you've read and Ashley, you've read a lot of books that are like messed up but high drama.
Yes.
So like, I get that. That kind of tracks, and it's like, but I feel like I don't know. I think what's weird to me is the people who read it and think it's romantic, not just that it's like bad popcorn fun. You know what I mean? Like,
Mhm.
it's not my kind of popcorn read, but like, at least people who recognize that it's bad. Like, okay.
It concerns you when people are like, "Oh my gosh, they're my book boyfriends" or something.
Yeah, yes. Well, that's also how I feel about the people who think that like Colleen Hoover is romantic. I'm like,
I refuse. We had a situation at work today with this re-release of Never Never. And I'm like, they came out in like what, 2014, 2015?
oh no.
And the community here just going wild. Oh my gosh, there's a new Colleen Hoover. And I'm like, no, it's not. It's not new. She's just re-releasing a book.
It's just, yeah.
That has
Ashley,
nothing to do with romance, but this reminds me, I saw a post today that said they should announce that they're doing a sequel to Groundhog Day and then just re-release the original movie.
That just makes me think about the actual, like, when they hold up the little groundhog. Have you ever actually watched that whole
Yes.
process? That little
Yeah.
groundhog is so cute, but I feel so bad for
So
it because it's like
confused.
so many people like this. They just like pull it out and they're like, holding it up like it's Simba, and it's like just sitting there.
Doesn't the guy wear like a top hat too?
They
Like
all
when
Yes,
wear
yeah.
top
yes,
hats. They're all
yes.
wearing top hats.
How
It's
is this-
really weird.
Yeah.
Anyway, Ashley,
Yeah.
I want to know what you just said. Zodiac Academy was 2.5. I want to know a true just 1 star from last year for you.
Ooh, I don't do. You know what is so weird about me too is that you will rarely ever see me give 1 star, because typically, if it's 1 star, like you really had to get down dirty and filthy in order for me to be like, it's a 1 star. The last time I gave a book 1 star was Life After Death, which is supposed to be the sequel to The Coldest Winter Ever by Sister Soldier. That was the last time I've given a
Oh,
book a
yeah.
1 star. That was the most. I don't even know, because I was pissed at Simon and Schuster for that move. I was real upset with them. I was like, y'all did this because you knew that you were going to make money, because that book was very pivotal to the Black community. The Coldest Winter Ever, when it released, is a huge thing in the Black community. And so we never truly got a sequel to it. And I mean, The Coldest Winter Ever came out years and years ago. So when it got announced that she was doing a sequel, I mean, so excited for it. And then I read it and I was like, absolutely not. I've never been so offended by a book in my life than that book. But typically, I'm not a 1 star girly, to be honest with you. I'm not.
And I think too, you're really open to reading
Anything.
a lot. Yeah. So if you're, yeah, you'll read a lot. So if something really hit you that hard, it's almost impressive to.
I remember watching your video review of
that
it.
review
and
of that one.
was
Yeah, and I
horrifying.
don't do a
Yeah.
lot of rant reviews either. So the fact that I did a dedicated video and said that this should have stayed in the drafts. That's how pissed I was about that one. I felt like that was kind of a low blow move on her end and on Simon and Schuster's end with that book. But yeah, typically, no, I don't do 1 stars a lot. A lot of 2 stars.
Are there some 2 stars you want to let us know about?
So Zodiac Academy, I gave 2.5. There was this, I don't think I gave it 2. Oh, okay. So there's one that's controversial that I will do. I didn't give it 2 stars, but I don't understand why people loved it. And it's 7 Days in June.
Oh, I don't
A
think I
lot
know
of
that one very
people
much.
love 7 Days in June by Tia
Who's-
Williams. It was like the romance. I don't know if it was it the romance last year, Bethany, or was it the year before?
I don't know. I never read it, but
Listen, I wanted to see what all the fuss was about, and it was another one of those.
Oh yeah, it looks like something I wouldn't read.
It almost isn't a romance. Like, they literally get their HEA on the last page of the book.
Oh no.
But I was so worried because it's a lot of trauma and a lot of codependency and a lot of substance abuse. And so our hero, I struggled with him so much because he was an alcoholic. And it was like every time something went wrong, I started to panic and get stressed out because I thought that he was going to break his sobriety. So it was just not, everybody loved it. They were like, oh, it's so romantic. And I'm like, but how? Because I was stressed reading the book the entire time. So that was another one that I wouldn't say like worse, but it was
It was uncomfortable almost reading it.
It was extremely uncomfortable reading that one, to be honest with you. I was extremely uncomfortable. But to be honest with you, like I didn't read a lot of bad romances last year. I read a lot of good ones.
That's what Bethany said.
Yeah, I read a lot of good ones.
I had a lot more good ones than bad ones.
I did too.
Yeah. I mean, I had like a couple others that weren't great, but like.
Should we get to those really quick? Because it is fun hearing your displeasure at these books.
I mean, you wanted me to talk about alpha male romance. So my least favorite romance period, like romantic couple, had to have been in House of Sky, and because there's no romance there. There's no romance there. Literally, the whole foundation of their relationship is built on lies of her not trusting him. And I'm supposed to think that's romantic. Sorry, I just didn't tell because I didn't trust you to be on my, like, no. And then not only that, but now Sarah J. Maas thinks that she's being so cutesy and self-aware by calling him an alpha hole, which is so stupid. But if we remove that fact from it, just the whole, I don't understand the romanticization of the kind of toxic masculine stereotypes that we find in this alpha male type romance. It drives me up a literal wall. I hate it so much. And I don't understand because people are always like, well, I mean, I wouldn't like it in real life. And then they always try to come around on me. Like Deshauna tried to do this to me and be like, well, I wouldn't want dragons in real life either. And I was like, no, we're talking interpersonal relationships where people are like, this is goals. No, different. Nobody's saying that me riding around on a dragon is life goals unless they're like a little delusional. No.
Yeah, well, I think that to that point, like when you like, I love reading First Law. I don't know if I've mentioned that before, but
No.
I don't like read grimdark fantasy because I want to like live vicariously through the characters and like be like, oh,
But
if only
is there
I could be
grimdark
tortured by
romance?
Galacta. Like, I don't like, that's not why you read it. Whereas like romance, you are kind of like reading it for that escapism, like into like wanting to live vicariously through this like couple's experience. And like when you're like romanticizing bad things in that, and people are like, well, I wouldn't want it in real life. Would you want like First Law in real life? And I'm like, but I don't like read grimdark as like a wish fulfillment thing.
I mean,
I think alpha
There's
male's just gotten so carried away because I feel like what it comes down to is it was just nice to see. I'm speaking broadly, like my assumption and my theory here. It's just nice to see a person who like knows what they're doing and they're confident. And for once, because I feel like romances, the female characters always have like so much that they're having to take care of, and they're like, finally, for once, I don't have to like take care of this. They can take care of it. They know what they're doing. And that has just morphed into this character that's like dominant about everything, and that they're like protective, but they're not actually protective. They're just jealous all the time to a point where a person can't even have a conversation without them, whatever random fae powers they have, like coming out and stuff. And it's, yeah.
Oh, I
think
did
it's
read this
fun.
last year. I can talk
Yeah,
about
I
it.
mean-
And it was like the very first book I finished in 2022. The last book in the All Souls trilogy, which is like he's
Oh,
a vampire
yes.
and she's a witch. And like it just got more and more possessive and codependent and toxic as it went. And like the last book was literally just like all the time. It was like if they look at something that is not their significant other, they're like, where are you looking? You're not looking at me. I'm jealous now. And also, like, the world is currently ending, but also I don't care that the world is ending. My only priority is like my mate. And I was like, that's not like attractive to me that a
No,
man
yeah, I
would be
hate
like,
that trope.
let the world burn because I'm going to save you. I'm like, no, you're a terrible person. Please go save the world.
But
What's wrong
think
with
that,
you?
but I think that take is unusual. Like, I'm not a big fan of alpha male love interests either, but a lot of women are. And they've done some research on it, which I think is kind of interesting. That part of it is probably that there are women who like have a lot of responsibility in real life, and
I think
there's
that's
a
what Elle was just
fantasy.
saying.
Yeah, I mean that's kind of it. Like that there's a fantasy of like being taken care of, not having to deal with stuff, not having to think. And I don't know, it's not my fantasy, but like clearly it's a lot of people's. And I mean, I don't know, that's the thing with romance is like I don't even if something isn't my thing, I don't want to like shame people for,
But like
you
teenage
know?
girls reading it and thinking that this is
Yeah,
aspirational.
That's what I
sure.
think
That,
Roger,
yes.
yeah.
Yeah. Like
Yeah,
that is
well,
more
because
of a
it's
problem for
gotten
me.
so pervasive in young
And like Sarah
adults,
J.
I
Maas
feel
is definitely
like.
marketed to, like, I know that House of Sky and Breath or whatever that series is called is like an adult series, but like she is an author who's like mainly her fan base has come through like YA and new adult. So like they're just gonna pick up her books even if they are
I don't
technically
think that's
adult.
so true and as true anymore. Like I think her fan base started that way and has kind of aged up. So I mean, I'm sure there are still teenagers reading her, but I just don't know that it's the majority anymore. I don't know. I think it's hard too because she's not writing for teenagers anymore. And
Yeah,
so
but
I
she did
think to
it even
put
when
that
she
so
was. Like,
to
Throne of Glass has the same
sure.
type of stuff.
Just
I
not
don't
as
think
explicit.
I don't think it's that bad though. Like Throne of Glass has some of it, but compared to a lot of other alpha male stuff, I just don't think it's like it's okay. I don't
Like
in my opinion.
Selena's not really letting
Doesn't
anybody
he
tell her
throw
what
her
to
out
do.
in the
Yeah,
snow at one point?
Yeah, but like
Is
the
that
thing
before
the
they're together?
I don't
Am I wrong?
No, I
remember.
think
It's
it's
been a lot.
after.
It's been a long time since I read them, honestly. But I just the thing is exactly Elle. Selena's not letting things happen to her, and so I have less of an issue. I don't know. It like I guess the thing is in the scheme of things I've read, I don't think Sarah J. Maas's heroes. They're not great, but they're definitely not among the worst.
I think what's
offenders.
tough too is like I never want to talk down to teenagers or like really young 20s, I guess, that maybe you
Yeah.
don't have a lot of experience. I don't want to treat them like you are so impressionable and this is going to sink in. But at the same time, when it's everywhere and there's no other like cute romances or just any other kind of healthy relationship that they can see in their, it's just like Roger was saying, it can become such a dominant thing that then that's kind of like what people, if that's all you're ever seeing, then it's almost like is this what it's supposed to be like? Is this what it's supposed to feel? And like even with Zodiac Academy too, like you were pointing out earlier, with that one being such a bully romance, if it's like if you have bully romance and alpha males that are not just confident and on top of stuff, but are legitimately like kind of not kind or respectful, then it's because it's like you want to make sure that it's clear it's fiction and like it's okay as this interesting escapism and stuff, but then it's I don't know that we could bring in a whole other conversation about what should be in. It's tough when it's relating to teens. I actually feel like Ashley would have the most to say about that because of your profession.
So
No pressure.
no pressure, no pressure.
Can you just like inform us all right now?
So I go back and forth about this too, because I think I look at it from two different angles. I think I look at it from the angle of being a parent myself, and then look at it from the angle of being a librarian. And even with both of those angles or both those perspectives, I always feel like it comes down to the caregiver. It's not the responsibility of an author. In a perfect world, would I like them to be considerate of what they are portraying in books because they have a younger audience? Yes. But at the same time, I think at that age, there's a way to give teens their space and respect in terms of what they would like to read, but also have an open forum and dialogue for conversation as to why maybe depiction of that relationship is not healthy. Maybe, this is something that we don't want in a relationship. I think that any type of text is an opportunity to practice those critical thinking or literacy skills. So while I do see it from both perspectives, it's down to the caregiver, to be honest with you. Nobody is here to act in loco parentis. I say that all the time. As a caregiver, as a parent, or whatever adult is in the household with a teenager, it is their responsibility, not necessarily to be nosy and to be in every little thing, but you have to provide that space to where that child, if they read something that they feel like is a very awkward or weird or even unhealthy depiction, that they could come and say, hey, our relationship's supposed to look like this. if this situation happens, what am I supposed to do? So,
Mhm.
and you also have to take in consideration that the emotional maturity of every child is different. Every teenager is different. So, what may be emotionally mature for one teenager may not work for the next. So, while we can say, oh, this is impressionable for teenagers, is it impressionable for all teenagers? Or is it
Yeah.
impressionable for those teenagers that may not be
Yeah.
at that emotional maturity or may not have those literacy skills or those critical thinking skills to break away from the idea of this is a book, this is fictional, this is not something that I aspire to be.
Yeah.
It can get very complicated and very convoluted, but I think whenever we're talking about kids and teens in literature, it's never a black and white. It's always a
Yeah.
gray situation. Yeah.
Yeah.
I
Well, I
think
think my biggest issue with it is because as a gay male, in
Mhm.
the gay community, the whole stereotypes of what a man is supposed to be
Mhm.
are very
Mhm.
much a bigger problem.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And so I think this glamorization and popularization of these very classically overly masculine stereotypes, like I'm just sick of it. So I think it's
Mhm.
like a bigger problem where it's like just another instance of like the things that
Mhm.
are popular and the most widely accessible and what have you are always kind of like the more traditionally like
Mhm.
alpha type crap. And I'm not
Mhm.
here for any of it.
I think that's definitely the fault of
Yeah.
publishing because there
that's
are
what I was gonna
titles.
say.
Yeah, the titles do exist, but like you said,
Yeah.
accessibility is a huge. That's for me is always like the key word. Who has access to these things? The things that are usually the most troubling can be the most accessible things. The stereotypes and standards that we set forth as a society that are harmful to a lot of communities easily acceptable or accessible because it's considered the norm. And it's, you know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
so I always say that publishing and we too, as readers, are, I feel like, have to take some responsibility because publishing is a business
Mhm.
and you put your money where your mouth is. So if readers continue to put their money into this stuff, publishers know that's where the money is going to be. So they're going to continue to invest in creating those stories. It's the same thing that we say. I know this is completely irrelevant, but it's the best example I have. In the Black community, there's this discussion about Black trauma versus Black joy in publishing. And
Mhm.
Black trauma sells.
Yeah.
As soon as you have a book that showcases Black trauma, people are ready to eat it up. But if it's Black joy, it's kind of like, and it's on the publishing side too, where there's not as much marketing, there's not as much
And
push.
film and television, it's a ton of that as well.
It's a
Yeah.
lot. So they know what makes money, and we as consumers have to push them to change that narrative. But if we continue to invest our time, energy, and money into these harmful stereotypes or
Yep.
designating one group to one characteristic, then it's going to continue to be that way.
Yeah.
Well, and
I'm
this
sick
is
of
where
seeing
like
coming out stories or like trauma in the LGBT community. It's
That's what I was
always,
gonna say.
can we like
Yeah.
just have them be happy? Let us be
Yeah.
happy.
Well, and I think the thing is I am seeing more stories like that, It's just you have to look for them, and that's where I think as readers and reviewers, finding and surfacing those titles for people to be more aware of can be so incredibly valuable because I think like some of them are out there and there's more out there than there used to be, but yeah, it's not going to be the thing that gets the most marketing dollars, and so you have to kind of like go look for it
Oh.
so that you can put it in front of people.
And that's what does make it kind of disheartening when the only thing you see on shelves and on TikTok is Sarah J. Maas and Colleen Hoover. Like just like miles and away. Like it's not even like close. It's like by millions more than like anything else, even the most next popular thing.
I mean, but part of it is who you follow, and so I this is one issue that I have, especially with TikTok, is that TikTok is an app that has an algorithm where it shows you what you interact with. And so like when I see people say, "Oh, this is what's all over Book Talk," for instance, I'm like, that's kind of a you problem.
No, but if
because,
you look at the
like,
number of like
there's
ratings, the number of ratings and the number of books sold,
ratings.
that
I mean,
doesn't
if you're talking
lie.
like
And they
Goodreads,
are
yeah,
selling millions more copies than anybody else's.
Or what's on
Well,
the book talk tables at Barnes and Noble and
right,
stuff.
right.
That's
I
what
mean, but
I
I
think
don't
it's sorry, Bethany. I was just
Sorry.
gonna add to that it's with our own bubble of whatever, booktube or the book community on Twitter and things like that. It feels like all encompassing, like we represent every aspect of the book community when it's like it's actually just such a small part. And then
Yeah.
like that's where, because sometimes you'll see books where you're like, I don't know what this is, and you look it up on Goodreads and there's thousands and thousands of ratings and you're like, where? And so
Mhm.
I think it's tough because
I have not personally heard of this. How dare it exist?
we do what we can, but at the same time, sometimes it seems like it feels like such an uphill battle, like as steep as possible. Half Dome, you know, of Yosemite or something, where it can feel you can feel very defeated because publishing is going to, I guess we're not necessarily casual readers, is what I'm getting at. For the casual reader, they're not even going to think to, oh, I should broaden. They're going to go to the internet so that they can be like, what's popular?
It's like what's being sold in airports.
Yeah. Right. And then the other thing I was going to add to Ashley's point, because I had kind of had something similar said recently in my, trends of fantasy video I did, worst trends. And I was talking about what you were talking about, Ashley, and the fact that it's even worse when there's a national tragedy or an international, like something on the news. And then all of a sudden you see all these, it's like they use tragedy to market for them. And it's so frustrating because then I don't know. I look at the writing side of things where I think they do an extreme disservice to those books because some of those books I think likely weren't supposed to come out yet. And they push them to release so that they could capitalize on the tragedy and the money that they would make with people feeling bad and being like, oh, I should educate myself now. And like, that's a good thing, but it's, it's not
even just in general,
always...
like without even tragedies, any trend, like even non-tragedy related, they'll push a book to like suddenly be published because like, oh, Vikings are trending. You have a Viking book that's barely on draft 1. Well, let's polish that up and get it out there because that's currently hot.
I mean, I do get excited when I see like there was a big announcement recently of like a 7-figure deal. Did you see this, Ashley?
Yes, I did.
George Johnson and Leah Johnson are so like they're co-writing 2 YA queer romance books, and it was a huge deal that's I'm sure going to have a ton of publishing push behind it because they spent 7 figures on the book deal. Like, so it's like stuff like that is encouraging, I think, because when you see publishing companies actually putting money behind stuff like that, and they both write things that, like Leah Johnson's books are like joyful stories,
I'm just worried for the inevitable, like it ends up on a list of books that are gonna get banned.
Oh, it will.
It will.
It will.
Their books have already been
they've already been banned. And George recently they had their family go to it was a public library where they're from. Their book was getting banned there, and they had their family go to defend their book, which thankfully the book didn't get pulled, but it was up to get pulled off the shelf. But anything that George puts out from here on out, they're going to ban it. It's their name already has now just been attached to every list, every school associated with banning and challenging. So I will not be surprised that as soon as this book comes out, you'll have groups like Moms for Liberty and Book Look. Literally what they do now is they read the book and they take pictures of stuff and they bullet point quotes and they rate the book on a scale of 1 to 5 of how inappropriate it is. And they give parents sheets of paper already printed and fixed up so they can take it to school board meetings and PTA meetings and all types of stuff. So I won't be surprised at all. I'm waiting for it.
Yeah, it's disheartening.
Very.
So best romances of the year.
Yeah, I was gonna say we got on such a serious, important. I mean, I really like when conversations like that just kind of happen, but I do feel a little bad that it got a little heavy there.
Surprise! People who clicked on this video are gonna get
favorites. So speaking of like joyful, I feel like at least in fantasy we're seeing a lot more cozy fantasy and those like kind of sweet. And I really liked, everybody's probably tired of me saying here, oh my gosh, I can't talk. Everybody's probably tired of me talking about it, but The Very Secret Society of Irregular Witches was so cute. I loved it so much. I'm so excited
to read that soon.
I hope you like it. I hope you like it. I thought it was so sweet. But I mean, there's moments that talk about their backstories and why they are the way they are, and them kind of having to deal with, just having these obstacles that are generally through your childhood trauma and things like that, while also trying to be these caregivers and teachers and whatnot to these 3 little girls. And it's just like, wow. So I hope you like it when you pick it up. I thought it was really
I think
sweet.
so. I'm excited.
Anyway, let's start with Roger. What was your favorite?
Do you want fantasy or contemporary? Oh, I can be like Bethany on this one.
Yeah, actually, when Bethany started, she's like, I have like different.
I have 3
genres.
categories of romance.
He was Leslie
Why?
Knope and
Is
showed up
anybody
with binders.
surprised, though?
Yeah. Do you have like an acronym of every? Anyway, Roger, whichever you'd like or both. I would like to hear both.
So for contemporary, I think my favorite was the 99 Boyfriends of Micah Summers by, I think, Adam Sass. It was like a YA contemporary male romance written by a male author, which is rarer
rare.
than you would think.
Mhm.
And it was a very cute, like kind of high school Cinderella-esque, just boy meets boy, and then they have kind of conversations and kind of coming to realize, are they good together? Are they not good together? I thought it had good conversations around that kind of stuff. And it wasn't just gay trauma porn, which I really appreciated. And then fantasy-wise, I really liked the Infernal Devices. I read the whole trilogy at the end of the year.
I love the Infernal Devices.
And
that years
I was
ago, though.
just surprised that it was so good, because after the Mortal Instruments, I was kind of side-eyeing Cassandra Clare,
Mhm.
because fake incest is a very weird trope to use.
Yeah.
But Infernal Devices, man, was like perfection. So all of you people over here that's saying that you like historical type romances, it's historical fantasy romance, and it is fantastic.
I didn't
kind of
know
wish-
what like Shadowhunter stuff was. I just read Infernal Devices and then found out there was other books, and I picked up like Mortal Instruments. I was like, ew, no, this is not what Infernal
So
Devices was.
would you
What is
say,
this?
Leanna, for you personally, was just reading that on its own, did that work for you?
Oh yeah,
Was it-
totally.
Okay.
Like I said, I
'Cause
didn't really even know that there was other stuff, or
I've
that you're
had-
supposed to read something else before it.
I've had people tell me like, you really should read the other ones first, and I'm like, really?
You don't
It just
have
depends
to.
on if you want it. If you want the crossovers, because I think, especially in the follow-up trilogy of the Mortal Instruments, because it was
Mhm.
originally a trilogy, and then she added 3 books to it, and those 3 books were written kind of interspersed with Infernal Devices. So if you're concerned
I was
about
reading them like
spoilers-
that as they were published.
Yeah, so I think if you're concerned about spoilers, reading them that way is the best, because you get the best bang for your crossover buck. But if you don't care and you want an isolated kind of
Mhm.
Buffy-esque historical fantasy romance, then Infernal Devices was. So Gem is my favorite.
I
love
would
him
die
so
for
much.
Gem. Oh my god. I was an emotional wreck reading
Yeah.
Infernal Devices.
Wow, okay.
So those are
I
my
might
2
have to
favorites.
give those a try.
Love it.
Okay.
Okay, so for contemporary, my favorite was Delilah Green Doesn't Care by Ashley Herring Blake, which is a sapphic romance that I love so much.
I do
got,
too.
like, a grumpy girl and a sort of single mom, and it was so good. I just loved
really
it
good.
a lot.
It was really good. I have to agree with you. It
Yeah.
was really good.
That was a really good one. I think for historical, my favorite was A Caribbean Heiress in Paris by Adriana Herrera, which is awesome. It's set in like the late 1800s, and it follows an Afro-Caribbean woman going to the World Exposition in Paris to showcase her rum. And while there, she ends up meeting a Scottish whiskey maker, and they fall in love, and it's great. It's like fun and joyful, and I loved it. And then, oh man, yes, Delilah was so good. And then for like a fantasy romance, listen, not everybody liked this, but I loved it. Okay, A Taste of Golden Iron by Alexandra.
Well, that was on my
Boland.
list. I liked it.
It's so good. It's really like it's a really slow burn, like very
Roger
slow
said.
burn romance.
Definitely go in.
between-
Do not go in for plot. It's all
No.
about the character interactions
It's
between
all about the
Kadu
characters. Yes.
and whatever the other two, whatever the
Yeah,
bodyguard's
like
name is. I can't
like the
remember.
plot just exists to carry the romance along. So like don't go into for the plot. But I just loved their super slow burn relationship. It's a prince and his bodyguard. So
I thought
good.
she handled that power dynamic really good too.
Yes.
There was a lot
'Cause
of
that's
conversations about
there was a
consent and
lot.
stuff.
Yes, like I think she did a really good job with the power dynamics because that's hard to nail. And they I think they did a really good job.
I'm interested in that one. I do really like slow burn. So I've heard, and Roger was funny because when he was messaging me about it, he's like, I keep waiting for basically he
The
wanted
schmexy
more.
times.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You
Roger's
get like a
messages
scene.
Yeah,
aren't
but
quite
there's a lot of
that
pining.
filtered though.
Yeah.
I feel like your messages were more of like, when am I gonna see? And then you would just like
A hamster and a banana.
yes, the hamster and the banana.
Speaking of which, I'll find it.
That gift?
Yes, I'm gonna find it and I'm gonna
You gotta
send it.
send it to Leah. Ashley, do you know this? You missed this at the beginning.
Mm-mm.
You don't know it? Okay, you gotta send it to her too then. It's you'll see. It is exactly what it sounds like. It's a hamster eating a banana, and I'm like, hamsters are cute. I feel like they don't deserve to be like immortalized in our society in this fashion. So he'll send it to you. Anyway, yeah, I'm interested in that one. I really like not that this matters, but the UK cover. I really like the. There was a special edition. I think the Broken
UK
Binding
covers are
did.
almost always better.
I know. Leanna, what was one that you liked? You read, of your three. So this third one is the good one, right?
So I chose to read this, which it might be the difference. It wasn't forced on me. I binge read the Simon Snow books, Carry On, Wayward Son, and Any Way the Wind Blows by Rainbow Rowell. Because I'd been meaning to read it for forever, and then I loved Carry On so much that I just like binged the other two immediately. And it was just, the humor is 100,000% my like humor, and especially like in the second book, it's even funnier. And it's just like a really cute romance. And it's like, if you like grew up reading Harry Potter, it's like very obvious when it's like directly making fun of Harry Potter. So it's like you're like in on because it's not like ripping it to shreds. You're like in on the joke, and you're like, oh, I get how this is like Harry Potter. So I just feel like it's like so much fun, and like I finally understand what people mean when they say, oh, it's a popcorn read. Oh, it's just like a fun book. Like, this is not a thing that I usually engage with.
You don't usually have that.
These are not words I know, but reading Carry On, I was just like grinning. So especially like, I mean, the humor is like great in all three, but the second one, because they're in a British wizarding school, like Harry Potter. But in the second one, they're in America. And there's so many jokes about these Brits seeing America and being horrified or confused by American foods and American cars and American stuff. And it was so funny.
I feel like you're secretly a British person inside, though. Like you connect with Joe Abercrombie, and British humor is just.
There was I pointed out that in Rings of Power, one of the characters has a northern accent, and I like made a joke about that, and I had so many comments from British people being like, an American recognizing that that's a northern accent. Wow, we did not expect that.
There's tons of different accents and all over in the UK in general, but I mean, like sometimes they sound so posh and elegant, and sometimes they sound like, oh, this person frequents the taverns or whatever, dumb. Like, see, you can tell I'm dumb, and I don't know.
The tavern accent and the castle accent, those are the two accents.
But you know what I'm saying? Like, I feel like it sounded like I was understanding, and then I went to like, no, I guess not. But you know what I'm saying? Like, there's a very clear difference. It's just they know oftentimes that Americans have no idea, so they just roll with
I'm
it.
from Britain.
Yes, thank you. That exactly. It's like. Not that anyone else is going to know what I'm talking about, but it's like I watched the movie Tar recently. It's like an Oscar nominee, and my husband's watching through the Oscar nominees. He's like, I want you to watch this one too, because it's about a conductor of classical music. I majored in classical music, right? I majored in strings pedagogy, but still. And so watching that movie, I was like telling Leanna, I was like, I'm losing my mind because this movie is so dumb with some of these inaccuracies. And I was like so frustrated. I'm like, but the director just knows. They just know. Most people don't even know how this works. And so I was losing my mind a little bit.
Like every scientist watching space movies.
Yeah. But in this case, every British person, probably in most anything, being like, that's not what it's like, but all right. Anyway, last tangent, hopefully, for this video. Ashley, what were some that you really liked?
So I have 3. One of them I'm just including because it was a surprise of how much I enjoyed it. And it's Railed by the Easter Bunny.
Did you say railed?
Railed.
Yeah.
Railed by the Easter Bunny.
I feel like if there is an opposite to Carry On, it's that.
It was listen, it was great. I did not, and it is an Easter bunny. It is a bunny. And things work and it happens. And I was like, wow, this was great. Like I did not expect.
The snuggles after would be cozy and fuzzy.
Oh, wait, they were. But it's some really interesting things that happen in that book. I really can't say much without, because it's not long. It's kind of like a prequel to the full-length novel. But it was great. I enjoyed it.
What's
It was
the full-length novel about?
I think it's a I think it's a continuation of it, because you kind of just get a glimpse of this world in the first book, which plays with like these gods and goddesses type of situation. But she goes and she meets the Easter Bunny while she's there. And her and the Easter Bunny have some fun times. It's, if you're a fan of like public play, if that's your kink that you enjoy, which I didn't realize that was a kink that I enjoyed until I started reading more books with public, and I was like, yes, this is it. I have found it.
That sounds like my worst nightmare.
I'm picturing, you know, the part in Nightmare Before Christmas where there's the trees with the doors to each of the like holiday worlds, and there's one to Easter, and like later they do get the Easter Bunny instead of Santa Claus by mistake, but they'll get the right one. Like that's what I'm imagining, but like very R-rated version of that.
It's very R-rated, and it did feel like that, you know, pick a door, and she found the Easter Bunny, and so, but it was good. It was a lot better than what I anticipated. If I'm talking about just favorites, just off the top, I really liked Midnight Mass, which is the follow-up to Priest by Sierra Simone, which, if you've heard about Priest, there's a lot of controversy because it is a priest who gets involved with one of, which I think she just goes in and makes a confession, and the confession leads to a couple of interesting things while they're in the church.
Is he like aroused? She's like confessing all the dirty things she's done.
Listen, I never.
Is that what it is? Am I pretty accurate there?
I'm not going to say anything, but except the fact that I did not know that, you know, using holy oil for things that are not holy. But let me tell you, people, I think, judge that book because of the fact that they know that it is a priest. Mm-hmm. However, I will say that I felt like Sierra Simone treated it with a lot of respect, because a huge portion, and I haven't read the entire series, and Midnight Mass was my favorite when I read Priest and then Midnight Mass, because of how she explores faith, love, and the institution of religion.
Midnight Mass has nothing to do with the show called Midnight Mass, right?
No.
Okay, but it's the same name, right? I'm not like crazy. Okay. No. I was like, that is a horror show on Netflix. Like, what are you talking about?
Yeah, which is also excellent. I do like the horror show. I haven't read them. I don't always get on great with Sierra Simone, but she has interesting ideas.
She does. She has, with this one, it was very interesting the way she did talk about religion and faith and love, and having that love and faith in whatever you believe in, but also balancing that with your love and passion for a human that's in front of you. And how do you balance that out? And when you see what happens between the two of them in the first book, I feel like Midnight Mass becomes even more pivotal because it's after the HEA. So you really get to see their relationship kind of go through what it goes through after, like, okay, they got it, they get it together, they get the HEA. And a lot of times I feel like I want romance books to explore that, but I've also read romance books where it's been explored and it's not done well.
Yeah.
And in this case, it was interesting seeing what happened to them and how their relationship dynamic changes after they feel like they've completed it all. So it was, I don't want to say it was an emotional read for me, but I think just the conversations around it were really, really pivotal for me. So that was a huge one. And then Stiff by Stephanie Nicole Norris, which is, the series is called Heavy on the D. You see what I read, right? This is what my entertainment. It's great because it's a sex club essentially, and our main character in the first one, in Stiff, she is invited to go, or I should say she's coerced by her friends to go, and she meets this other guy, and everybody's identities are completely, kept private. No one knows who anyone is, and it's a place where you can explore your sexual fantasies. And so the two of them meet, and the chemistry between the two of them is just ridiculous. And not just physically, but emotionally and mentally, their chemistry is great. So it was like fiery hot, had me sweating, fanning, like, oh my gosh. Where can I find one of these in my city? But I have too many identifying features, so that's a no-go. But I thought it was great. It was well written. I need to finish the series. But if I had to go with a top two, it would be between those two, Midnight Mass and Stiff.
I think it's funny that like you're kind of wedged between the two that were like, I liked this one that was just so cute and fun. It's a nice alternating set of books.
Yeah.
Is that your cat, Roger?
Yes.
Are you still looking for the hamster gif?
No, I already sent it, but I was like,
Oh,
I don't think I
okay.
follow Ashley on Instagram, so I couldn't send it to her.
Oh, you gotta change
Which I should
that.
fix.
Fix
What
it.
is your Instagram handle? Bookish Realm, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I really just want to see
the first
reaction.
message in your new DM chat will just be this GIF that opens the whole chat forever.
I really want your reaction to this. I want to see your reaction, and then we'll end things. We'll wrap it up.
You want to see my reaction on camera?
Of course.
Okay. Let's
Oh
see.
gosh.
Oh, geez.
I think that's the widest your eyes have ever been.
I honestly think it's really cute.
Really? It's something.
Wait, hold on.
I'm kept in suspense.
I know, but why won't it play for me?
Oh, it's not
It
a GIF,
doesn't-
it's just a picture.
It's just a picture.
But it won't load.
Oh no.
Okay. If I Google it, will it come
Okay, I'll
up?
resend it.
It
If
should
you
come up.
Google it, you might get something you don't want to see.
It'll come up.
I resent it as well. Because maybe it was just because I added you after.
Hold on. Who did that to that baby? That's
I
wrong.
know.
Right?
That's what I said. It feels too. I feel bad. It's too innocent.
I feel
And
like
for
right
context,
before
that
that,
was because
I feel like
that was
right
because we
before
were
this
talking about
picture
love
was
hypothesis.
taken, I feel like right before that picture was taken, that hamster saw the banana and was like, I want it. And they're like, that's too big for you. And he was like, I can do it. And then
Yeah.
that was the picture.
Well, you'd have to unhinge his jaw a little bit more than that.
Just
That ain't-
little nibbles. He'll
that
get
ain't-
there.
That ain't nibbles. No teeth. Let me stop. This is what you get for inviting me to this conversation.
Oh yeah. This is what I
Everybody
get.
else knows better than to invite me to a conversation
This
like
is-
this. 'Cause I
this
get
is what I-
unhinged.
This is what I get for inviting Roger. Roger knows. I mean, okay, Roger, do you know what wording I expected you to say about alpha male? The thing that you said to Joshana and I? Do you
No,
remember?
what did you
Or
say?
Sean and me. You don't remember? You were talking about the parts of you and how they feel in reaction to.
Oh, that I get instantly flaccid.
Yes, that's what Roger said. So Ashley, you're in good company.
I'm in great company.
So on that lovely note, thanks everybody for joining this interesting mix of best and worst and the tropes that are pervasive within
I
the
think we
genre.
demonstrated range.
Yeah.
There's like absolute
We have
immaturity
range.
and like really important topics
Yeah.
that were discussed in this video, so that was fun. But anyway,
We contain
this
multitudes.
this was genuinely super fun. I'm glad you could make it, Ashley. I was like, oh, yay.
Yeah.
But anyway, everybody's channels will be linked in the description bar down below. We're sad Mara couldn't make it, but hopefully Mara will be here for the next one that we do that is romance themed. It will probably be a lot more of what you got at the end in that other video. So and I can't wait. Oh my gosh, Roger. Mina's gonna be in that video. And hopefully, as long as schedule works, and she's so funny. So I'm very excited because Roger's gonna join us for that one too.
Ooh.
I'm sad Leanna can't be there because Leanna, we do love a good rant from her.
I
And
think
then
mostly I would be making faces.
Bethany cannot
Today,
join for
Leanne
that
and I
one,
bonded
but-
over infernal devices. I didn't
Yes,
expect that.
gem.
the
Yeah.
power of books. Anyway, this was lots of fun. Thanks everybody for joining, and we'll see you all next time. Bye.
Bye.